You ever worry your retirement money will run out before you do? Hey guys, it's Doug the Retirement Guy. And the number one topic with retirees that I have in my 1 hour Patreon session, one-on-one basis, is exactly that question. Will my money last? And they're very concerned about this. And if you're not familiar with it, what I do is a 1 hour, one-on-one Patreon session. It's easy. You can join Patreon. You can sign up for it. It's a 1 hour focused on your retirement questions across the board. And like I said, the biggest concern is, will my money last? And it's always down to, do you have a plan? Do you know what you're doing with the money and what your money's doing for you? And then we also talk, Social Security, and we talk about income strategies and tax retirements and so on. But today we're going to do a complete video to help everyone out there answer that number one question, will my money last? So grab your mug, fill it with your favorite beverage, sit back and join with me. Will my money last? So the fear behind the balance. A retirement balance is only one part of a long-term security question. Will my money last? The answer depends on spending, dependable income, investments, retirement length, the decision during difficult markets, not just the balance alone. I know you see stuff all the time about people saying, hey, you need a $1.4 million to retire. Financial advisors tell you that all the time. Well, it's because the market volatility. What if the market falls 20%? They want more bigger balances to be able to cover those type of situations. What if income changes? What if your distributions are reduced? Inflation. What if everything costs more down the road, which we've been seeing? Healthcare costs. What if care costs grow? And what if my retirement length is changed? What if my retirement lasts 25 years, 30 years, 40 years? We don't know all these numbers. A portfolio balance alone does not ensure long-term retirement security. The real risk that we talk about, though, is bad returns with withdrawals. When withdrawals begin, the order of the market returns matters the most. Selling after a decline can take temporary losses into permanent damage. So there's really two phases here. Phase one is accumulation phase. Okay, this is when you're still contributing into your fund. You're still putting money in. When you were 20 years old, 30 years old, you're pouring money into this fund. They've taught you to put this money into a 401k, save your money, invest. You're pouring money into the fund, but you're never really taking money out. So the time and the continual contributions will help support recovery in a downward market and grow tremendously fast in an upward market. Very simple. But when you enter that retirement phase, which means withdrawals reverse that dynamic. You're in the retirement phase, you're now going to be retiring from your portfolio. So in bad times, you're pulling money out and the market's pulling money down too. In good times, you're pulling money out and you're trying to regrow your money with the better times. You have to cover your living expenses. So the shares you sell to pay your bills no longer participate in the recovery. So if you take your shares, you sell so many shares off to pay your living expenses, they will not be part of the decline. They will not be part of the growth. So poor early returns and ongoing withdrawals can place far more pressure on a retirement portfolio than the same losses later. So the foundation reserves and the ongoing income can help manage this risk across the board. And I always tell people at this point is you need to have a plan for your money. What are you going to do? How are you going to manage this? What's the job of your money across the board? So this is where I introduced the 3-bucket retirement operating system. Every dollar has a job. Near-term security, retirement income, or long-term growth. One coordinated retirement system helps control everything we just talked about, all of your fears accordingly. So one bucket is supporting another bucket supporting that bucket. All three buckets support each other. So let's talk about these buckets. Number one bucket is the foundation bucket. This is what we call our near-term spending reserve. Okay, I always say this is like building a house. Your foundation is your security. It's your baseline. It's everything that you build off of. You want liquidity. You want stability. Okay, you want to put funds in here that are going to be solid, safe, and secure and can cash out fairly quickly. Our growth fund. You want growth funds for long-term appreciation. You want the inflation fighter. You want time. You want things like planting a seed. Think about when you plant a seed, or I'll use a tomato plant for the best. And this goes to my grandpa, taught me this. You take this little seed, you plant it in the ground, you water it, you nourish it, you take care of it, and it starts to grow. And it grows. It didn't grow in one night. It didn't grow in one day. It grew over time. And the more time I gave it, the bigger and bigger it got. The more I fertilized it, the bigger it got. And then it started producing tomatoes. Okay? And that tomato had seeds. I could take those seeds, plant, and have even more tomato plants and just continue to grow. Now, the income bucket. This income bucket is what we call our cash flow. This is recurring portfolio income. We use diversification, so we get it from multiple different avenues, and we have cash flow coming in on a regular basis. Now, as our bucket gets too big in the growth, we can pour our bucket into our foundation side. If our foundation side's full, we can pour it into the income side to create even more. This helps funding our spending, this helps avoid forced sales, and this preserves for long-term growth. So the first thing you have to do before we get into anything of buckets, how much money do I put in the buckets, any of that, you need to know this. You need to start with a monthly spending and then subtract your dependable income sources. So if you have monthly spending of about $5,000 a month and you have Social Security coming in at $2,800 a month, and let's say you're lucky enough to have a pension from a former employer and you have a pension coming in. You take your $5,000 of your spending budget, your $2,800 from your Social Security, subtract that, and then subtract your $700 from your pension. That leaves you with a portfolio gap of $1,500 a month. Your $1,500 a month times 12 equals $18,000 a year. So your whole plan right now starts off with you're trying to cover $1,500 per month or $18,000 a year. Now, nowhere did I tell you have to have $1 million, $2 million, $5 million. I haven't told you any of that. What I know right now is we have a gap, which everyone will, of about $1,500. How many months of this gap can your foundation currently cover? Now we're talking buckets. How much of your foundation bucket can cover that? That is income reliability, spending flexibility, healthcare taxes, and risk tolerances are all built into this. So we talked about it. Bucket number one, the foundation bucket. The near-term security, liquidity that we need to have. So long-term investments don't have to be sold at a wrong time. So you're coming up in the next 12 months, you know you need $1,500 a month or $18,000 for 1 year. So in your foundation bucket, if you had cash, treasury bills, CDs, certificates of deposit, high yield savings accounts, money market funds, if you put $1,800 into this bucket, you have enough money to live off of for 1 full year. The markets could go up. The markets could go down. We could have a 20% drop off in the market. And guess what? Not one time are you going to worry about it because you have $1,800 in your $18,000 in your bucket to cover your $1,500 a month income. Okay? That's the working of that foundation bucket. It's what your house is built on. You can go a whole year without worrying about that. I tell everybody to make sure the job of this bucket is liquidity for near-term spending. Normally, 6 months to 12 months minimum in this bucket. Stability during difficult markets. Time for long-term investments to recover from those drop-offs. Okay? Bucket number 2 is our income bucket. Now, this is normally a bucket we always talk about at the end, but we put this in the middle for a reason. The retirement paycheck. When you retired, prior to retirement, you were sitting at your company, and every Friday or every 2 weeks, you got this magical security thing called a check. You got your paycheck. And you lived your life off of that paycheck. You bought a car, and they said, as long as you have that paycheck coming, we're going to give you the car. We're going to loan you the car. You're going to live in a house, have that paycheck. Well, in retirement, the bills don't stop. You just need a different paycheck. So your recurring portfolio of income is designed around your actual income gap. So this bucket does this. It generally is the largest bucket in the portfolio. It's built to provide recurring portfolio income that's needed first. So you're going to put things like dividend growth equities. You're going to put broad equity incomes, option income strategies. And to use the standard words I'm going to use, it could be stocks, preferred stocks, dividend stocks. It could be option income ETFs. It could be high grade bonds, treasury notes, things that generate income. Now, I didn't even talk one thing yet about what yield should we be putting in this and how we should be doing this. What I'm saying is we're going to put enough money into this bucket to cover your monthly spending of that $1,500. So we're going to tailor the size. Don't just copy the percentage. We're going to tailor this to fit your needs. Your portfolio funded income gap. Okay, so this one, the example I'm showing you, you need to come up with $1,500 a month out of this bucket. That covers your income gap. You need to have dependable outside income from these ETFs, stocks, real estate, and so on. You need the risk tolerance and the retirement length. Are these things going to last long periods of time? And you're going to have that foundation and growth bucket needs. In case either one of those drop off, this one's going to have to help fund the other 2 buckets as well. So I give an illustration of 75% allocation, but that's not universal. That's not just set in stone, set it, forget it. It changes. I got some people at 50%, 55%, getting real detailed, 56%. I got some people up to 80%. Okay? It's all in how the market, what they need to do for their particular role. Now, the biggest thing that I talk to people all the time with is yield chasing trap. Yield, I want to tell you up front, is just a mathematical number. You come up with a yield, which is the distributions divided by the NAV, or the price of the share, simple way to doing it, to give you what you're going to receive as a yield. As the price goes up, your yield goes down. When the price goes down, your yield goes up. That's why yield is a math number. It doesn't tell me anything. A large payment alone does not show whether a fund's value is growing, stable, or declining. It just tells me, yep, mathematically you're going to get about 20% return on that money. You have to look deeper into it. You have to ask particular questions. What does the fund own? How are the distributions generated? Is the NAV holding up? What is the total return? You hear it on this channel all the time. I'll tell you, what is the total return? How does it behave in declines? Are payments consistent? What are the expenses of the fund? Because you're going to be holding it for long terms. What could taxes look like down the road? Your dividends, your interest, your option premiums, your capital gains, and return of capital can produce very different outcomes when you sit and break down each and every one of your funds. Now, bucket 3 is our growth bucket. This is the long-term appreciation designed to help purchasing power keep pace with inflation or higher. The long-term job of this is that inflation fighter is later in your retirement years. It's building for a 20 to 30 year retirement horizon. It's not intended to pay bills next month. It's designed to pay bills 10 years down the road. Okay, a 15% illustration model is what I use a lot in these to start with. Now, what you're going to be looking at, you're going to be putting things into that takes time to grow. Remember my story of the tomato plant, that you're going to plant the seed. You're planting the seed today. And that tomato plant won't be producing tomatoes maybe for another year, 6 months, however a plant grows. I put this and say you're putting money away that's going to be producing money at 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. It's protecting your purchasing power down the road. Now, I'm going to give you some examples. VOO, the Vanguard S&P 500, the VTI, the QQQM, the NASDAQ 100, VUG, Charles Schwab's number one distribution, their SCHD. These are for research only. They're not recommendations. Some people use VOO, QQQM. They use the Charles Schwab package. Some don't. Well, all these are is I'm not giving you recommendations of what to put in your bucket. What I'm saying, these are things that you need to put and look at in your bucket. You want broad equities, technology. And here's the thing, sectors will change. Was tech as strong as it is today as it was 10 years ago? Was healthcare where it's at today as it was 10 years ago? And these are all things will change and your markets are going to change. So how do the buckets all work together? This is one thing that a lot of people they get confused with. Well, you got to remember, you got monthly spending. That's where your bills are withdrawn from. Now, some people will use it in the foundation fund. Some people will say they make a fourth bucket, or they'll just basically call it their checking account. So they'll pull money from their foundation to write out their bills while they're letting their growth and their income pour back into their foundation bucket. What I always tell people is this: in 6 months to 12 months every year, you're going to rebalance your portfolio. You're going to rebalance each one of these buckets. You're going to refill your foundation bucket to make sure it's top end in case you have emergencies or anything happen. You're then going to take your growth bucket that hopefully has gotten a lot bigger. You're going to shave off, trim off the extra growth that you've had, pour that into either income or again in the foundation to make these buckets whole 100%. Same thing with income. So let me give you a scenario to give you a better idea how this all works together and how to put this in a very good perspective. Robert has $600,000. This is an illustrated example, except it does come from one of my Patreon supporters. So don't get scared. I get verification and proof from everybody before I ever do anyone's information. So Robert snapshot, he has $600,000 in his portfolio, and he was been stacking away, putting money away left and right. He has a living expenses of $4,800 a month. He has Social Security of $2,800 a month. So he has an income gap of $2,000 a month, which is $24,000 a year. So when I sat down with Robert and I said, this is going to start off with the basic, 10% in your foundation fund, 75% in income, 15% in the growth. Now I explained to him this way: $60,000 goes into your foundation fund. How did I come up with that number and why did I come up with that number? Well, if you take your monthly expenses and times that by 12, it's going to be just shy of $60,000. If you take the $2,400 or the $2,000 a month that you need, or the $24,000 a year, you have now 2.5 times your annual gap. So what I've shown to him is that I have security for him for a minimum of 1 year of his monthly expenses, forgetting about Social Security, forgetting about his gap. I give him 1 year of his monthly expenditures and 2.5 times his year of his spending gap. So Robert now has between 1 year to 2.5 years of going to bed, sleeping comfortably every day, and not have to worry 1 ounce about his money, the economy, or anything, because his bills have been paid for. The next thing we did, we took his income and put it in 75% of his portfolio into the income bucket. That's $450,000. We then took that money and we put it in the diversified portfolio to generate, and the goal is now to generate $24,000 a year or $2,000 a month from his income bucket. And $90,000 now goes into his growth bucket, 15%. That is for long-term appreciation to help cover inflation. Okay, so inflation will be, say, 3% of his monthly spending. So his monthly is going to go up 3%. Over 12 months, will go up 3%, about $1,200 a year. We just got to get more growth so we can put into more income, into the foundation bucket. So income plus foundation reserves will equal out to be $2,000 monthly gap, and that goes into Robert's checking account. Hopefully you see how this is working now. So we get into the fun part. And this is the part that a lot of people love to do, but they didn't do the foundation or the growth fund first. Robert's sustainable math. The goal is to cover the actual income gap, not chase the largest advertised distributions. Here's what we do. Simple math again. $450,000 into the bucket. His gap is $24,000 a year. If you divide $24,000 by your income bucket, $450,000, it means he needs an annual required income rate of 5.3%. And that's, of course, before taxes. So think about this now. If you go out and try to find something at 5.3%, you're just above a checking account, savings account from any normal online bank. If you go invest into a basic ETF, a secured ETF, 5%, extremely easy to find. You do not need to go out and find that 20% distribution rate. It's not required. Distribution is not automatic permission to increase your lifestyle living or spending. What it says is, right now, to secure his future, he needs 5.3%. So excess income stream. Well, this is what's so neat about this. If he finds a fund, we'll just say is double that, 10%. So $24,000 is going to pay his bills. $24,000 is extra money. He can reinvest it into his income bucket. He can refill his foundation bucket. He can reserve his money for tax purposes, or he can prepare for future costs, inflation, healthcare, home repairs. He is now getting ahead of the curve versus behind the curve. And he hasn't sold a single thing yet. He hasn't done anything with his investments. He's invested them. He's put them out there. He's living off of dividends. And now he's prepared for anything in the marketplace. So the rules that make it work. 1, calculating your income gap. You need to know that number first. 2, you don't chase yields. Review the total return of a fund. That tells you what the true answer is. Don't want to hear about a 20% yield. I don't want to hear about a 10% yield, a 50% yield. I want to know what your total return is right now, because I've shown people 40% yields can show a 9% total return. You're not getting 40, you're getting 9. The volatility, the cost, the consistency. 3, maintain your foundation. Use excess income to continue to build on your foundation, make it stronger and stronger as you go. Rebalance. I always tell everybody, when you first start this, you'll rebalance about in the 90 days, and then the 6 months, and then 12 months, and then you'll be basically on a 6-month to 12-month program. You need to use spending guide rails. It's difficult periods. Consider reducing discretionary withdrawals for major purchases. You don't just go out because you need a new car or want a new car. You need it. You buy a car when you need a car. Okay, you don't just remodel your kitchen without planning for it. It takes time to do what you need to do. Plan for taxes. Okay, taxes are a major factor of retirement. So you need to plan your distribution types that you're using, the account withdrawals. They can receive different tax treatments. And you need to review your funds, not just the payments. You need to review your funds. How are they doing? This is why I always say I do a big deep dive in 1 year, and I do a softer one at 6 months of what is each fund doing. Are they doing what I want them to do? Are they doing the jobs that I hired them to do? The goal is sustainable retirement income, not the biggest displayed number to just make it sound good. So what happens in a market crash? This is a great question, and I get this a lot. The preparation guides is the response. It does not predict the market. I don't know what the market's going to do today. I don't know what's going to do tomorrow. I don't care. Market declines. Pause and check the plan. Okay? Pause and check your plan. Review your actual source of monthly spending, the money that you're spending every month. Okay? Did the market decline change your distributions? Did it change anything that's coming in from your income? Okay? Check your spending. Do we need to really spend anything? Do we need to buy that car? Do we need to remodel the kitchen today? What do we want to do? 2, use the foundation reserves. Cover your remaining short-term income gap from your foundation. You're not selling anything. You're not selling your growth funds. You're not selling your income funds. You're not selling anything. You're using your bucket, which was designed to fulfill this gap. Keep ongoing income working. Continue collecting available income distributions. If you've done this right, okay, your foundation is going to cover you for that 1 to 2 years of your living expenses. You may say, I want to cut down on my expenses, but your foundation's got you for 2 years. Tell me a market that's been out there that's been in the dumps for over 2 years. Because what happens is that gives you 2 years to rebalance your income package. And if we have invested properly, our income package is going to have extra money to make up for, again, market decline. Don't automatically go and sell your growth funds, because giving up long-term investment time to recover is what you're selling. You're selling time because you're panicking. Tighten that discretionary spending. Okay? Delay your major vacations, a vehicle purchase, non-essential withdrawals. If the market got that bad, you could tighten up your belt. I'll give you a personal one for myself. Markets declined a little bit. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to take that family cruise that I wanted to do. We've taken a family cruise for close to 4 years now. Every year, they were getting 2 cruises, anywhere between 1 to 2 cruises a year. Yeah, I'm a great dad. I'm a great grandpa. I love hanging with my grandkids. That's part of my plan of retirement. And I finally said, hey, we're going to take a major cruise, but we're not going to do another one for 2 years to recover from it. It's okay to do that stuff. The goal is to avoid forced selling after a decline. When the markets recover, the excess income and the selected gains are going to rebuild your foundation fund, your income fund. So it's long-term planning. That's why when everyone says, what about market declines? That means you're not prepared and you're not prepared for retirement. The final takeaway is more confidence, not a guarantee, but it's confidence. A coordinated plan gives you each retirement dollar that clear job. As we talked about, that foundation is yet near, fill in the gap. Your income is going to be basically a diversified retirement paycheck. This is your new paycheck, and it's handling the quality income to cover that gap that we talked about, but not headline yields. And the growth is that long-term potential to help fight inflation. Organize, discipline matter as much as account balance. So nowhere did I tell you had to have $1 million fund in this. Nowhere did I tell you had to have a $2 million fund. I said what you have to have is a plan, and you have to know your spending, and you have to know your income gap. It is not just how much money you have, but how much you organize it, and how you invest it, and how you use it. Guys, this is a framework and it's not guaranteed. It can't guarantee returns or distributions. It can't eliminate inflations. It can't eliminate healthcare costs or market losses. It cannot overcome spending that a portfolio can't support. You have to review, you have to rebalance, you have to plan for taxes, and you have to adapt to the conditions and the changes in your market. But what your foundation bucket did, what your income bucket did, is bought you time to react slower to a market, to balance yourself out, versus being that your next door neighbor is panicking and selling his funds because they dropped 5-10% because he's got to make a house payment, car payment, or living expenses. So let me know in the comments below what you think. The number one topic that we have with retirees, will my money last? The 3-bucket system works tremendously. Let me know in the comments below. If you like what we're doing, hit that like button. That helps the most with the channel. And remember, enjoy your Doug to Retirement coffee cups. And if you want one of those, click in the link down below. You'll find that. You'll see our whole selection of all the Doug Retirement packages. Hey guys, thanks for spending time with us, and we'll catch you at the next video.